Despite what their moms told them, they just aren't talented enough for radio. Unfortunately, anyone can have a show these days. Sean.
Well, I'm pretty hard to figure out sometimes. In fact, I can't even figure myself out sometimes, so don't you try to.
Joe.
You're an idiot and really a disloyal person.
This is the Cuse Militia. Now, those two unapologetically biased, orange-blooded homers, Sean and Joe.
It's the most bullshit thing I've seen in 30 years.
Welcome, orange men and ladies. Happy Sunday. This is the Cuse Militia with Sean and Joe at Cuse Militia on the socials. Go there, join the militia. Thanks for tuning in and hanging out with us. We appreciate all of you. Duke completes the sweep against Syracuse for this year in front of a massive crowd in the Dome, 97-72. Student section alone, record-breaking 8,335 strong. You'll hear from us, and we'll hear from you in fan feedback. In the Orange take to the road for the last time in the regular season. They're going to take on UNC tomorrow night at 7 in Chapel Hill, TV ESPN. We'll let you know what we think about that. So Coach K's last meeting in the Dome between him and Coach Boeheim, and wish the game was a little bit closer. Not going to lie about what I expected. I feel like, if anything, we're obviously in a worse position than we were the first time around. And although I was optimistic about the crowd and them, you know, we all know the ability of the crowd to be a factor in games, just were absolutely taken out of it right from the start, and it's just unfortunate. And if you listen to Coach's presser, we'll play a little bit of that, but it was unfortunate. Little ceremony for Coach K. Yep. Got a picture of him and Coach, and then the scholarship in his honor that Syracuse will be given away. So pretty cool, pretty original idea, and yep. We were all curious to see what was going to be presented to him, as everybody's doing when he comes to play them for the last time. And a legacy, an end of an era for Coach K. And love or hate Duke, mostly hate. Obviously respect him as a coach, being good friends with our coach for all these years, and the USA championships and all of that. I mean, just there's a lot there, and obviously, like I said, you just wish the game was closer, and it just wasn't. So
yeah. I mean, it was classy.
Yeah,
we paid him respect. The fans were classy. Like you said, I think we gave him a unique gift that's going to be there for most likely long until he's gone. So, and it has something to do with the military and everything like that, because Coach K was involved with that. So overall, I like that part of it.
Yeah. So anyway, that's it for that. So it was real. It was not fun. It wasn't real fun. It was not fun. And like I said, 14-0 start to start the game. Got everybody standing up, clapping, looking like they're all gonna pass out. And I think they had to stand for almost 6 minutes. So we'll get into all of that. But first, let's listen to what Coach had to say after the game.
At the end of the day, there's nothing we can do with our two big guys. We tried to come back in, and then they're going to get the threes, and, they all made them. It's Ben Carroll's been shooting 29%. We're going to give him a little room on the perimeter. He made his first three. Roach has not made him as much. He got his first couple in there. And we really started out the game trying to think about Griffin, and we didn't. We didn't do a good job looking for him. He was the guy we wanted to contain. But Frank was told that he's going to stay back, and for whatever reason he decided to come up, and they're going to get the dunks in that situation. I don't know what he was thinking. He's young, a big crowd, big game. Maybe he just couldn't handle it. But you just can't come up and give that play. And, we talked about it. We had 2 days, so we had enough time to get ready, and we just didn't handle it. I have said from the beginning, I talked to Cole at the beginning of the year. He said he wanted to play here 1 year. I talked to Jimmy at the beginning of the year. He said he wanted to play here 1 year. I talked to Buddy numerous times. He said he wanted to finish this year. That's how we've recruited. That's what we've told everybody. And that's what's going to happen. Nothing has changed. Nobody has told me anything differently. And that's why we're trying to bring in 6 guys or 7.
Do you plan on returning next year?
Whoever said I wasn't?
I'm asking. I don't know.
You don't need this. It's been asked and answered 6,000 times. Every press conference I gave in the beginning of the year is I have no intentions of not coaching. I've said it 30 times. Because we're having a bad year, you want me to quit? I don't quit because we're having a bad year. So I told every recruit, we have a pretty good recruit in here today. I told every one of them I'll be coaching next year. So I don't know what you need me to do or say. I mean, I guess kind of like Frank, you don't get it. The one thing I will say, and I don't make excuses, but Jesse's a difference maker for this team. Period. We wouldn't have won the 4 in a row we won, 3 in a row before he got hurt if it wasn't for him. And, it's just been too hard to overcome. Frank isn't ready. Bahram is trying with everything he can. He did as much as he can do, but he just isn't. He's not even 50% of what he was. But, we wouldn't have won this game maybe, or maybe Notre Dame, maybe. A couple other games, maybe with Jesse, but we're just not deep enough or talented enough to lose him. The students have been fabulous. Our fans have been great. The fans that have come, obviously it's tough. Some people just don't want to come, and I understand that. Our fans have been unbelievable. I'm so disappointed that we would play this way when so many kids, students came out, so many fans came out. It's just terrible. The most disappointing thing of the year that we would do that. But the fans have been good all year that have come. They've been here. They've been loud. They've been noisy. They've tried everything they can to help us. Our fans have always been good, and they are great this year. The students were fabulous.
Update on second.
He's hurt. I doubt if he'll be back for a while. Okay, thanks.
All right, the coach montage is brought to us first by Athletic Greens. Tons of people take a multivitamin, and it's important to choose one that is top quality. With one delicious scoop of Athletic Greens, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source, superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start off your day right. This special blend of ingredients is here for you to help support gut health, the nervous system, immune system, energy, recovery, focus, and aging. It's lifestyle friendly, adapted to a wide range of diets. It contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no chemicals or artificial anything. Plus, it only costs less than $3 a day. It's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition, especially during cold and flu season. It's just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs on your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/sportsdrink. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/sportsdrink to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutrition insurance. Colorcast. Colorcast is a live, audio-only sports talk platform, free to download and use. Talk to us, other fans, athletes, insiders in real time. Perfect for watch parties, debates, post-game breakdowns, and reacting to breaking news. You can always find us in the green room during shows, but this is going to be something we'll try out live, but not during the podcast, something separate. So all you need to do is download the Colorcast app for free in the iOS or Android stores, create a profile, link your Twitter account, and join the league or group. Follow us at Cuse Militia, as we can be found everywhere to notify and sign up for notifications when our room goes live. Colorcast and Athletic Greens. Thank you. Talk to you in about 20 minutes. All right, look. Okay. Let's start right at the top of this thing, Joe, as we always do. Duke shot lights out, and especially in the beginning of this game, and it was very difficult to overcome. 47% from 3, 15 to 32, 60% from the floor. They just could not miss in the beginning of this game. And like I said, a 14-0 start before Buddy hit a couple. And, you know, it was really pathetic looking. I mean, let's be honest, right? It was quite pathetic looking, right? You don't expect that to start the game like that in front of a crowd like that. Just was pathetic. It was frustrating to watch. Although, to be honest, I mean, some of you think I'm full of it, man, but I didn't even flinch. I didn't. I immediately saw the way the game was going, and I was just like, yeah, I mean, it just sucked. It was painful to watch, and I just absorbed it. I just sat there and absorbed it. I didn't know what else to do. So I mean, there's nothing I could do from the couch, right?
The first time that we played them, they didn't even have Trevor Keels either, right? So you get another guy in there, and you look at their whole starting five, and it's legitimate NBA players, or these guys that are going to get a chance to play there.
Yeah,
and,
all 5 of them.
Right, and when you play against Duke, especially, you know, our team and you know, the issues that our team has, and then you look at Duke, who's a legit, you know, national title contender. You know, you need those guys. You need to get a little lucky. You need them to have kind of a bad day shooting anyway, just to kind of give yourself a chance most days. And when they came out like that, I mean, I remember looking at the first half, so some stat came on and said something that, you know, Duke was shooting 76%, and then right when the stat went away, they hit a 3, and I was just like, oh, well, shit.
I mean, they scored 51 in the first half.
Yeah. But at one point, they were shooting 76, and it got down to 51. We ended the half. I mean, we ended on an 11-0 run just to get it to 17.
Yeah, and it felt good. Even the very beginning of the second half felt okay. It disappeared quite quickly.
Well, it took too long for Buddy to get help and us to figure out at least some type of lineup that gave us a chance. But either way, I mean, they're just too much with those two big guys, like what Jim Boeheim said. With the amount of shooters that they have and the guys that can make passes, and then you get it to Benchero and Williams down there. You know,
Did I have
that's tough to stop. That's tough to stop. And honestly, you know, without Jesse, that's real tough to stop.
Yeah, and you know. Didn't get much help. We talk about, you know, Joe quietly had 18 points. You know, someone had to have something else happen, because you got Jimmy, Cole, and Frank with a combined 2 points. Those being Cole's, and just totally ineffective were they. And Mark Williams just tore it up. I mean, Virginia Beach guy. I believe he went to Ocean Lakes High School. He was all the buzz a couple years back and around here. And
he's good.
He's good, right? But anyway, 28 points for him. There was just like Coach said, Frank he was told what to do, and he wasn't doing it, and he's just got to learn. I don't know what else to say. They're just not good enough right now.
Well, and that's the deal is that it's hard to gauge you against Duke when they're shooting like this, because they do have a team that can move the ball around and get the shot that they want. I mean, they made 35 shots and assisted on 26 of them. You know, so they were passing the ball around, getting it to the right guys that were open, and then they got their shots and they didn't miss.
Right. They let Griffin go in the beginning. He was supposed to be a target to watch for, and, you know, 20 points, I believe, for him. And, you know, he did what he did to us pretty much last time. And,
and that's what it is you can't do both, right?
Right.
I mean, especially with this type of team that we have and some of the limitations that we have on defense. If they're going to spread us out and they're going to shoot threes, I mean, like what Coach said, Banchero was coming into this game shooting 29% from the 3-point line, and he made 4 out of 7, right? So at the end of the day, they over-exceeded what they normally do with 3-pointers, 15 to 32, 47%. And you're not going to be able to stop anyone down low if you have to extend your defense to stop 3-pointers, right? So you need them. We needed them to just not have a good day in the 3-point category, and kind of we knew we were going to be able to give some up because if you extend that and you give the ball to Banchero there at the free throw line with him and Williams, I mean that's too easy. Alley oops and that shot's too easy for Banchero. They'll kill us all day. We needed to be able to have to kind of squeeze in the middle and make it clogged in there, but we couldn't because of how good they were shooting the 3-pointer. And you're just not going to beat Duke. We're not going to beat Duke when they're shooting like that.
No, I mean, it's not even going to be close. And, it was as expected, but you always go into the games remaining optimistic. So that's all I got on it. I don't know, just the athleticism gap between Duke and Syracuse is just too far to overcome.
Strength.
Cy goes out early. By the way, we'll just hit that real quick. He's going to be out for a while. I think he got some stitches. He's in concussion protocol. And, it didn't look like much, but, what an odd angle to get hit in the head from like that behind. But, just hope he's all right. Hope he can go sooner than later. And, with him out and then, with Jesse obviously out, I mean, it's just, it's just stacked against us. So Cole, Jimmy, and Buddy likely done, according to Coach. And, like you heard Coach say, the most important thing here is that's how they've recruited, okay? And, obviously telling these 2022 kids coming in, exactly what their plans are and what their roles may be. So Cole likely going to try something, right? Buddy's probably likely headed for the NBA. And then you told me, Joe, when we talked yesterday, you think Jimmy's just going to pursue his degree. By the way, we got, 5 hard commits according to 247 Sports. Chris Bunch, Justin Taylor, Cordier Copeland, Malik Brown, and Peter Carey. So a lot of young talent coming in. Pretty damn good recruiting class. I wish I remember the guy's name, but had a recruit there the night of the game last night as well. So it's an end of an era as far as Buddy goes. It's kind of sad. It's a little bittersweet. You wish you could have more Cole too. You also wish, if you're like me, and I'm sure Joe would agree, that it's a little bit sad how this whole thing's shaped out as far as Syracuse's ability to get into the postseason and make a run, right? So, hell, yeah. I'm just hoping that they finish above 500 at this point. So
yeah, that's where I'm at.
Right. So, I mean, like I said, end of an era. We got to watch Buddy as a kid. If you're as old as Joe and I, you got to watch Buddy as a kid running around, and then you got to watch his, 4-year career, a career that was plagued by 1 year, looked pretty damn good, was plagued by COVID and cut short in 2 tournaments and 1.5 tournaments, I suppose. And then just everything else on top of that, this past year wasn't great, but it was better, right? And then last year was no fans, you know what I mean? They didn't get to play in front of any fans. And it's just like, what a strange 4 years it was with Buddy there. But at the end of the day, I just wish it would have finished a little better than what it's projected to finish. And it's not to say nothing good can come of it for the rest of the remainder of the season, but where we're at now and the probability of where we're going to be is reality, right, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, the shoulda, coulda, wouldas are going to be there, right? And it took a little while to figure out what how we could play with each other and Jesse's capabilities. And then once he figured that out, we started to look good. And then he got hurt. then we get the stretch of games where, we're playing some of the tougher teams. We're playing with 5 games in like 10 days or something like that. And you saw Cole only got 14 minutes. I saw something around his knee yesterday. You wondered if something's going on with that. Sidibe is, he's still trying to get his legs under him with his knees and everything like that. So you can tell, although he did play a decent, he played decent yesterday on offense. He's just a half a step slow on making his, rotations and playing defense and stuff like that. So as much as he helped us a little bit on the offense, he really didn't help that much down low still as far as on defense and rebounding and things like that. And just overall, Samir gets hurt. We're just a battered team right now. And, I just don't see a situation where it's just going to turn around. Statistically, the way you look at it, we're pretty much lined up to get an 8 or a 9 seed in the ACC tournament, which means we're playing Florida State first round, and then we play Duke the next day.
Yeah.
So, realistically, any chance of
we were having a bye, mid last week.
Well, and there's a first day bye, but I'm just saying at the end of the day, like, we're in a situation where even if we wanted to make a run in the ACC and then hope that someone else could beat Duke and then maybe we could make a run, we're going to have to be that team that beats Duke. So, shoulda, coulda, wouldas. You can even look at Colgate in Georgetown at this point, who is 6-22 still. And if you flip those, we're still a 17-12 team, and you're still talking about having a little bit of life if you can get these next 2 games. But now, with the battered, beaten up team without Jesse, if we get these next 2 games, really doesn't look like it's going to, push the meter that much as far as, any tournament. And then on top of that, you're just going to have to go on a huge run. To give you some perspective, right now, Virginia is looked at as, I think, like first 4 out, I think is where they are. So, and they're 7th in the, or I think sixth in the ACC. Virginia Tech's right behind them. So there's a chance that we could get up to 7th if Virginia Tech loses to Louisville and Clemson, but they're a better team. They're a better team than those two, and they're trying to get in the tournament. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go run on that. So realistically, we have no, even if we win or lose, as long as Virginia Tech wins, we have no wiggle room to move any spots. So we're going to get stuck in an 8 or a 9 playing against Florida State with having to play Duke again.
If you win.
If you win,
you got to win, right? Yeah, it's not great, but we got 2 games left. UNC, and then they get, 5 days off before they play Miami, right? They play Miami the following Saturday, so
yeah.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. This is still, these games still matter. They're still going to come out and play because, I don't remember, there's never been a year, I don't believe, minus sanctions, to be able to not play in the postseason. I'm pretty sure that Boeheim has always made either the NCAA tournament or the NITs.
Right.
I don't know about his earliest, but from when I can remember in my lifetime, that's how it's been.
From what I remember too, there was the one year, the first year, they took themselves out of the postseason to try to lessen the blow from the NCAA.
In the 90s.
Was there?
There was a year in the 90s that they were sanctioned because of Conrad McRae and some type of recruiting thing. And then there was the other one when Rakeem Christmas's senior year. And then other than that, we've either made the NIT or the NCAA tournament. So, it would be – I've been okay sometimes with, okay, they're just an NIT team. I can watch the tournament, still enjoy myself, and still have these games on the side in this other tournament and hope that we win that, right? And I'm afraid that might not happen. So these 2 games are very, very important for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, way to depress.
Right now we're not even in the NITs, right? So, if we want to even make the NITs, we need to win these next 2 games. If you want to talk NCAAs, you got to beat Duke. You got to beat Florida State, you got to beat Duke. You got to win the next 3, then you got to beat Duke. Then you might be talking.
Maybe.
But right now, I don't know if we're in the NITs.
Yeah, it's too hard for me to gauge because, it's not really something I've ever had to worry about. Are we going to make the NIT if we don't make the tournament, to your point? So. Well,
and the problem, too, with that is the NITs now, they changed the rule to where if you win the regular season as a mid-major, if you come in first place, you're a 1 seed, then you go in your conference tournament and you don't win your tournament, then you automatically get a bid in the NITs. So usually the NITs aren't even like, it's not like it's the 32 of the next best teams. You get some conference champs in there that automatically get a bid into the NIT. Usually if Colgate goes and runs the table and they get the 1 seed in the Patriot League and then they lose in their tournament, they're automatically going to get a bid into the NIT. But in the other days, it wouldn't happen like that. So that takes away from teams in the NIT too. And then if we start talking about the CBI and all these other weird, I don't even know. I don't know where we're going to go with that. But I just hope we get some type of postseason run.
Yeah, it's these next two games are very important. Of course, like we talked about, we're finishing the year with number 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the ACC, and we're struggling, and we got injuries, and we're just not in a good position with the personnel to do what we need to do right now, unfortunately. And that's how it's laid out. And I guess that's why I'm, to my point about Buddy not coming back, I just, it's a little depressing. You can probably tell in my voice. So, all right, last thing, the crowd of the year, largest crowd for college basketball game all year belongs to those of you who went last night to the Carrier Dome. Congratulations. Hats off to Otto's Army. What a showing for them. 8,335. And just an amazing scene. And we got to really, when you put it into perspective, it's been about 2 years since we've seen the Dome like that. It has not happened this year like that, obviously. And it did not happen at all last year. So it was an amazing sight to see, and it was another reason I was just a little bit upset with the performance. The fans, they mean so much to that city and that team. It's always, like I've mentioned before, growing up, we didn't have much growing up in Syracuse, as most of you listening to the show know. It is like ice fishing, football, basketball, and then, fishing without ice. That's what I did growing up.
The state fair.
State fair was not something I was big on either, though.
No.
You'd be lucky to get me there once. So apple picking, yes. Give me a trip to Beacon Skiff, and So it's just sad, but what a great crowd, what a great student section, and whoever put all that together, did a fantastic job. Those kids came out and they camped out and they were enthusiastic, and they still made the best of it. At times during that game, it's tough. Getting really excited when you're coming back from 30. That's a long road to hoe, and it was getting exciting in there, and everybody was enjoying themselves. Just it wasn't what we'd all like it to be. So, right. And you know what? It happens. It sucks. It happens. You pack it up, move on. And that's what these next two games are about. See what they can do. It was gonna. We said, Notre Dame and Duke are gonna be tough, and my thought was our best shot to win in 2 out of the last 4 was North Carolina and Miami. And so here we are. And it just so happens we had to go through the 2 losses first, and maybe, who knows, maybe they can pull these off and they can be in decent shape. If they pull those 2 off and at least get to face Duke, which would suck. It almost suck. It would suck so bad, actually. But we'll see what happens. But that would at least show something. It showed a sign of life. And, if Sai's got some stitches and he's in concussion protocol, I don't think, there's a good chance we don't see him for these last 2 games of the regular season. But, you could see him for the ACC tournament. So, I guess that's where we, where I would put that on the timeline if I had to guess. So, for Symir. Anyways. All right. It's time. It's time to hear from you.
time to hear from you, the loudmouths from the Loud House.
All right, you guys know what to do. At the end of every game, I ask for your thoughts on the game. Boy, it took a little bit last night for me to do it. I'm not going to lie. But I did it. I knew I was going to get stupid comments from people who don't realize I do it every game or whatever. But anyways, we did it. We got him. We'll talk about him here. I picked what I could, what I thought was the best. And we'll get into that here in a second. But first, again, let's hear from the good folks over at Athletic Greens. Tons of people take a multivitamin, and it's important to choose one that's top quality. With one delicious scoop of Athletic Greens, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help start your day right. This special blend of ingredients helps to support gut health, the nervous system, immune system, energy, recovery, focus, and aging. It's lifestyle friendly, adapting to a wide range of diets. It contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no chemicals or artificial anything, plus it costs less than $3 a day. It's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition, especially during cold and flu season. Just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D in 5 free travel packs with your purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/sportsdrink. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/sportsdrink to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Colorcast is a live audio-only sports platform, free to download and use. Talk to us, other fans, athletes, and insiders in real time. Perfect for watch parties, debates, post-game breakdowns, and reacting to breaking news. All you got to do is go to the Colorcast app. It is free in your iOS or Android stores. Download that thing, create a profile, link your Twitter account, join the league or group you want to join. Follow us at Cuse Militia and be notified when our room goes live. Like I said, we will not be doing these during the podcast, but if we do some postseason stuff, Joe and I will maybe stop in the Colorcast app and do something there, okay? And also, like at the beginning of football season, it'd be perfect to do some Colorcast stuff when maybe some of the games aren't on regular TV or whatever. So we always get a little bit of that. All right. Let's hear from you. Let's see what I got, Joe. There was plenty of comments, but it just wasn't great. I got to be honest. I don't have a ton. Okay. And with that said, let's start with Nate over on Facebook. Duke is that much better. It doesn't help that they shot really well. There is no substitute for size and strength on the glass. Quality minutes and contributions from Benny was the lone bright spot, okay? I was hoping Joe was not going to mention Benny so we could talk about that here because there's not a ton of fan feedback to get into a conversation about. Joe, Benny, man, with a freaking awesome game, an awesome game on a huge stage, and my good Lord, did Benny need a boost of confidence like this? In his 30 minutes, 14 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 for 5 from the foul line too, which is awesome and a good sign there. And I was so happy for this kid. Everybody that is a Cuse fan has been rooting for Benny to do something all year. And he comes out, and if someone told you they were going to do it he was going to do it against Duke, you'd have been like, yeah, okay. So anyways, came through, played a great game. I mean, without him helping Buddy and Joe, I mean, and Brahma contributed 11 points, but without him helping Buddy and Joe, I mean, this is a massacre.
I mean, yeah.
It was a massacre anyway, but...
It was a massacre anyway, and, I kind of looked at it, and Benny had 6 of his 14 points in the last 4 minutes. Had another jumper at around 9 minutes. So, 8 of his 14 minutes were the last 10 minutes of the game. So, obviously you look at that in, 30 minutes, I figured he'd have more than 6 rebounds. So it's not necessarily that he played great, but he played better than what we have seen him play this year. He definitely obviously gave a little bit of a boost, but it was almost like a too little, too late type situation. And
absolutely, too little, too late in the game, and too little, too late in the year. But
yeah, but he got 30 minutes, right? And I mean, Sidibe got 26, Anselm 12, Swider 14. That's why, like I said, I don't know if something happened to his knee or not, but yeah, I mean, this is going to be a positive one way or another. Benny's going to get more minutes. We're going to start. I mean, obviously, we know the legs are going. This is just part of this whole. Part of this schedule that we knew was going to be just a beast, right? And now, just one day later, now we got to go down to North Carolina and deal with them, right? So we're going to have to get some fresh legs in there, and I'm glad that he got to go in there and hopefully prove to himself that he can compete and go out there, because I think a lot of it is confidence.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's a good confidence booster for him, and when you put things into perspective, I feel like he played great. I mean, what did he score all year? I mean, was it 14 points the whole year?
I mean, yes, you can say great compared to, right?
Well,
but,
right.
I mean,
but
how hard is Duke playing the last 4 minutes, right? I mean,
I understand, but he was, I mean, you're focusing on the last 4 minutes, but he was in there for 30. I mean, and I understand your point. Let's see, real quick. I'm just curious. He averages 2 points a game. So, where is this? Where's Benny? Where the hell is Benny at? Okay. All right. He scored 56 points this year. I mean, that's way more than I thought it was. So with that 14. But yeah, it's a good confidence booster. It gets him the minutes that, under certain circumstances, I suppose the circumstances weren't great, but it gets him the minutes that he needed to be out there and to get some experience. So with that said, it was good to see. I'm happy for the guy. Top fan Nadal on Facebook. Duke's smothering defense and lights out shooting from Griffin put them up a 14-0 lead that took the crowd out of it. I'm not sure why Griffin was allowed such time on the perimeter after the last Duke game. Well, yeah. Right. I mean, you heard Coach. It was in his game plan, or maybe I didn't play that part, but it was in his game plan. He said it in the presser and just lost him. So,
right.
That had to be the game plan coming in, right? Yes, obviously, as I just said. Side note: the random presentations of awards to random people and inaudible band takes the life out of the dome during timeouts. Well, that's good to know. It's always awkward, the whole thing. No one's really paying attention. You know what I mean? It's kind of like. Like he said, the inaudible band. I mean, you can barely hear stuff. Top fan, our buddy Zach. Come on, give it up for Zach. There we go. We all know the negatives, therefore I won't harp on them. I really think there might be something there with the big lineup, though. It's clearly affected Duke to a degree, although the same was too far gone. The game was too far gone by then. Joe is a great player and deserves to be on the court, just not at point guard. I really feel bad John Bull can give us quality minutes. I really feel John Bull can give us quality minutes next year if he keeps working hard. I love seeing him and Benny come out of their shells to a degree today. I see the light at the end of the tunnel. This year just isn't the year. And it's an optimistic little spin for next year, yes. And, I mean, we got some things to be excited about for next year. And, obviously, Benny's one, and John Bull. You look at Jesse's going to be, back, and he's going to be, hopefully, it's a risk. So I don't see an issue with his gameplay because of his injury.
Yeah.
And, he's going to come back, and he's going to be, he's got 2 years left. So he's going to be a monster eventually, and as if he wasn't a little bit already. So, You know what I mean? I mean, it's too bad we're sitting here having to reflect on next year and take out some of the positives for that right now at this point in the season. But it is what it is.
Yeah, well, we don't know, and he talked about getting 6 or maybe 7, and I think what's his name, Judah Mintz,
that's
was the guy that was here.
Yeah,
and it was, so I mean, and he's a top 50 player that decommitted, and is looking for another place. And if he's at that game, it's hard not to look and see that there's a big old gap in the guard position.
Yeah,
so,
and does it? I mean, I'm not trying to be.
They're going to have Samir and Joe next year, right?
Right.
But do you really go from trying to make Joe a point guard or a scoring point guard the whole time to now Samir's the point guard and now Joe's a shooting guard again. I mean, I don't know which way you're going to go. Obviously, we're going to have Benny and we're going to have the if Frank stays, then he's going to be a good backup to Jesse. So we'll have that whole part locked up. We're still going to have to figure out a little bit better depth with the guard and obviously with the forwards as well. But we got 5 guys coming in. Would you to mince 6? And I really wouldn't strap yourself to not be able to get someone from the transfer portal.
Yeah,
you've seen some of these guys. Some of these teams have, like Wake Forest, for instance, is filled up on. I think they went and got 5, or maybe they had 1 last year and 4 this year, and they're a legit team now. So you want to always, I think, keep a couple of spots open for that as well.
It's a lot more young guys to hit the floor next year. It's the one thing that worries me a little bit, and
more athleticism.
Yeah,
bringing 5 guys.
It definitely is.
You throw 5 darts at a time. How many are going to stick?
I don't know, Joe. How many beers have I had?
I don't know.
I'm
just saying.
It's got to be in the equation. I got to know.
It was a rhetorical question.
I know, Joe. Once again, Joe does not know how to have any fun with anything. It's like, why bother? Why bother trying? At Mahirio_10 on Twitter. Sad, inexcusable, and disgusting. I know Duke is Duke, but you cannot play like that. Giving up easy stuff. Loved Benny, though. I cannot wait for him to shine next year alongside Jesse. Buddy did what he could. Just tried to stay above 500 at this point. Yeah, Joe, like we were saying, that's kind of like my biggest fear right now. If I have a fear, I suppose, is just not having a winning season and coming this far in your career and not getting it. I think it would be, it goes past, it goes before Jim Boeheim's tenure. So I think it was 52. I think it would be if this year, or we've had 52 up to this point. So this would be 53 if they could do it. So you're talking over a half century of winning seasons. And it's just a number thing, right? But it still means a lot, I think, to the program and to fans to stay, to keep that streak going, right? Mm-hmm. Sad, inexcusable, and disgusting. Yeah, I mean, the beginning of that game was what killed us, and they were just never going to recover from 14 down, and then eventually we're 30 down, and Duke couldn't miss, and it was quite the show. So, what do you do? More Benny talk. Let's see what we got here. At No Blanchard 44. Benny was the only positive, wondering where Swider was all game. Hope Torrance is okay. At this point, I just don't want to see Coach get his first losing season. Might need a miracle, though. Yeah, like Joe said, I didn't notice it, but Joe did, and Swider had something on his knee. So, I mean, that's that. Torrance, we know now, probably going to be out for the rest of the regular season. Had to get some stitches. And
at least Monday.
Yeah, at least Monday, at least. Right. Yeah, because if you think about it, well, I mean, stitches is what? That's like a 10-day process, right?
You can play with stitches.
Yeah, you can play with stitches, but
they'll just cover it up. It's more the concussion protocol, and then when you come to that kind of stuff, when heads hit, man, sometimes some weird stuff happens, and you don't know if there's any type of fracture somewhere. So as long as he can pass concussion protocol, I can see him playing. But
that should be already done and over with by now.
What?
Concussion protocol. Should it not?
Yeah, but if he has a concussion, then he's not going to be able to play.
I understand that. Yeah. Okay. At Tony Staffieri, Duke had teenagers on the floor against that SU team. Remind me again how recruiting is in good shape. Well, I mean, we got a pretty damn good recruiting class coming in. So, and it wasn't a whole lot of recruiting issues. We had people leave, and we had to go into the transfer portal, and we had to put Band-Aids on everything. So, I think that you could say, I mean, and the argument can be made, and I wouldn't argue against it, that what the team that was put together for this year just wasn't good. It just wasn't good enough, and it wasn't what they needed to be successful in the system that Jim Boeheim uses.
Well, and that goes back to recruiting, though, right? I mean, and that's my thing is that, I'm playing devil's advocate here as far as, there's fans out there that are like, look, it's your job to do this stuff. I don't want to hear that we had a bunch of guys that there was cliques in the locker room wasn't together, so we had to kind of blow it up, right? A fan's going to look at that like you should have seen that coming. Like your coaches, your recruiters.
It's easier said than done. I mean,
it's easier said than done.
There was
more than ever nowadays. It's kind of like the attitude of these players and what they're thinking and what their main, the things that they're looking for the most for a school, right? And you kind of got to be able to read that stuff and understand whether or not it's going to be able to gel and fit and stuff like that. So I understand this is like the side of those fans that are like, look, it's his job. And they recruited some bad players that didn't fit in the locker room. They all transferred. And now this is the result of that. This season is the result of that.
This year is the result of that. Okay. But, I mean, through all of the sanctions and everything, he did a pretty damn good job. We got 1 year. And everybody's heads are exploding over it.
I get it.
Okay? And we got a decent class coming in next year. I don't know where it ranks, but it's a decent class coming in next year. It's one year.
I get it, but it's one of those things where this is where these fans are, because obviously, there's not all the fans aren't at the same levels, and at the end of the day, they look at it like that happened, and now this happens to be the worst, season that the Boeheim's had on record, and it happens to be the one where he's got both his sons playing on it. So like all of it comes to,
and I'll give him that.
Roy Williams just retired. Roy Williams and Mike Krzyzewski just retired. And everyone's like, it's time to go. It's time to go. This experiment didn't work. This isn't that. I mean, I get it.
The experiment didn't work, and I'll give that to anybody who wants to point that out. I think that's a fair, and not only fair, but legitimate criticism of what we've got going on this year. But a lot of things have happened in the past 2 years.
Yeah,
in
you're
sports.
absolutely right.
And Syracuse just not the vacation destination for most people when the transfer portal was filled and they had options to go anywhere they wanted.
Mm-hmm. And
that was difficult.
That.
Do what?
You had the NIL in that.
Exactly. Yes, and all that transpired last year, right? So, yes, it's a different type of recruiting process now. You got to sell these kids on much, much more than just minutes on the court or a legacy coach in a well-known program. It's way more than that now. And you know what? The city of Syracuse isn't necessarily jumping out at people for the extra opportunities that they can go get somewhere else in bigger markets, in better schools. So with that said, I mean, that's a whole nother podcast.
Yep.
So anyway, but I get the frustration, and I understand the everybody that's upset about the Suns playing, but it's just the one, really. And Jimmy has done pretty damn good, in my opinion. I feel like he's done pretty good. I wish he was better in other areas, and the defense was awful for a really long time, and his free throws sucked for most of the year. But he did pretty damn good. I mean, they're both good players. And you can't say anything about Buddy. I mean, give me a break. No. This kid's averaging, what is it, Buddy averaging for the year? Points. He's averaging 19 points a game.
Points.
On
38 minutes. Now, you can't say anything about Buddy. And I think that Jimmy, he exceeded expectations. But then I think when he exceeded them, then people wanted more. And when he didn't do it, I think that's when people started getting on, And he just scored 27 the other day.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
he's in a losing effort, right? So again, he's got some limitations, and I thought, I remember in the beginning of the year, I thought that Benny was going to, advance his game enough to the point where he was going to push either Cole or Jimmy out of the starting lineup, because I thought that's what he was going to do, and that just didn't come to fruition. So we got a lot more of Buddy or Jimmy and Cole than I think a lot of us thought, and I think a lot of people thought Cole was going to be a lot better. And so, just one of those things. But again, there's fans out there that are like, yeah, well, I mean, it's unfortunate. It stinks, but, it's cool that he gets to coach his sons, and let's see what happens next year, right? Then there's other fans that are like, I don't care. I don't want to hear excuses. I just want to see them make the tournament so I can watch them in March Madness.
Right, and I totally get all that. I really do, and I feel it. I mean, like I'm with it. I mean, I feel it. I'm in that boat, but I'm not gonna sit here and say some of the things that are being said. But I do see where the frustration comes from, and I do think that it was, looking back on it, obviously it just didn't work out. It didn't work out the way I thought it was going to work out. I mean, gave up a lot of juice, for some extra buckets.
Yeah, and we'll never know. Like, we're never going to know. I mean, I say never, but, maybe Kadari or, maybe it was just as simple as being able to keep Quincy.
I was just going to bring up
Right?
Quincy, and I remember, Quincy had his own problems from what I remember. I mean, this is only a year ago. I'm old enough to remember him missing bunnies every game at the rim. And he grabbed a ton of rebounds, and he was obviously quite a bit stronger, right?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes he would take some bad shots, but he was definitely better down low on the wing as far as defense and boards than I think Cole and Jimmy. So
I would agree. So anyways, okay, where was I? At River King 22, the difference in talent is amazing. It's just a bad matchup for us. Benny looked good. Yeah, it's a bad matchup. Like we said, the gap in the athleticism and strength between these two teams is significant. And it's hard to overcome when you're losing when you lost one of your starters. And like Coach said, it's not an excuse, but it's a reason, right? I mean, it's fair to say that. That's a reason. At Sadler _340, Colgate scored 100. Therefore, Colgate is better than Duke. Seems legit. My wife was sitting there watching. She's like, please don't score 100. Please don't score 100. I'm like, I'm with you. Please don't score 100. It's just, stop the bleeding. At Mouseader, I think, Tom on Facebook, Duke played impressive. We did not. Benny started to wake up, and he might be fun to watch in the games that are left. That's quite possible. So we'll see. I think it gave him confidence. He's obviously a talented kid. He's still learning this system, and he came out of his shell a little bit to, I forget whose point that was, that he came out of his shell a little bit. Maybe it was Zach. Anyways, yeah, I think it was.
Well, look, if you can do it against Duke, then you can do it against anybody, right?
Right, and that's what he needed. He needed to see that, right? He needed to see it for himself and prove to himself that he can do it. And from there, it's just practicing. And the kid's a humble kid.
Yeah.
It's written all over his face how, the humility of this kid. I believe it's written. You could just see it. And he's a hardworking young man, and he's going to be decent. And
look, there's a lot of times in high school when your God-given ability just get you to where he is right now, right? But then when you get to college, now everyone's that good. And now you got to worry about learning the system. You got to worry about learning how to play faster because it's a lot faster of a game, and you need to get your body right. And that's just really what it is. And I think that he got humbled, like you said, and he's a humble kid, so he didn't have a tantrum, because when humble kids get humbled, then they just work harder, right? So
right. He's got the right attitude.
He's what's that?
He's got the right attitude for that, for sure.
100%, right?
Yeah.
So now, if you can get this at the end of the year, like he just did that against Duke, we've seen that we got some guys banged up. I can only assume he's going to be getting more minutes going forward, and let's see what he can do. Now that you kind of cross that barrier, you get that little bit of confidence, and maybe he can get this going into the off season, and then really just the off season, he's just got to learn the system and get bigger. That's all he's got to do, because his athleticism's there. He's just got to get bigger, and he's got to just get just dog mentality. Just go after the ball and just go get it. Sometimes he's a little hesitant out there, and you can see it.
Hit the weight room.
Look like that all the time yesterday.
Yeah.
So I'm excited, at least for the last couple games, but at least for the future, because you got a little bit of a glimpse yesterday as to what he could do.
Absolutely. All right, the all-time series between North Carolina and Syracuse sits at 6-14 in favor of North Carolina. The last game we played was at home, And Roy Williams' last trip to the Dome was a W, 72-70. Gerard Boeheim, Dolezaj, Guerrier, Griffin, your starting lineup. Boeheim with 26 points and Kadari Richmond with 10 assists. North Carolina sits third in the ACC right now. They're 21-8, 13-5 in the ACC. They are currently on a 3-game win streak with 9 wins of their last 11, including an 84-74 win over NC State yesterday. Armando Bacot just lit it up everywhere. 28 points and 18 rebounds in that game. And I think it was like his 20-something double of the year. So he's obviously was and continues to play at an extremely high level. The best game of his career was yesterday, though, against NC State. They're averaging 70 points a game, and they're shooting 46% from the field, 37% from three. Ken Palm's got them ranked 39th, according to his analytics, with an adjusted offense ranked 24th and an adjusted defense ranked 86th. And he's also predicting an 84-77 loss for Syracuse. UNC is 40th in the net rankings, making this a quad 1 game for Syracuse. The Orange, still without a quad 1 win on the season. They're currently 0-8 in the quad 1 row, or bracket, or whatever you want to call it. 2 games left in the regular season, Joe. So, look, this is a winnable game in my opinion, but I also picked out this one with consideration of Jesse, being on the court. So, a lot more difficult, but they got to go into Chapel Hill, man. They got to ball out. So, what else can you tell us about North Carolina?
Well, yeah, you bring it up to going into Chapel Hill, and throughout the whole season, really, North Carolina was, they had a pretty tough non-conference schedule, beat Michigan, but they didn't lose at home until they played Duke for the first time earlier this year. Duke beat them by 20, and then since then, actually, Pittsburgh came and actually beat them at their place as well. So they are beatable here with only 2 games they've lost at Chapel Hill this year. And another thing I looked at when I looked at their schedule is that they haven't beaten a top 5, even though they're one of them. The 4 other teams in the top 5 of the ACC, they haven't beaten any of them. So that tells me that they're kind of in third place based upon the other teams that they've played.
They've struggled against some unlikely opponents this year. It's hasn't been recently.
They lost to Pittsburgh just like us. And realistically, every time they played somebody, Notre Dame was a 5-point game, but they lost to Miami by almost, it's 28.
Yeah.
Lost at Wake Forest by 22. Lost to Duke by 20 at home. And then when you look at the wins in between, it's NC State, Louisville, Clemson, Florida State with all their injuries that they have now, at Virginia Tech, in Louisville, at NC State. I guess they swept Virginia Tech. They beat them twice, and they beat Virginia. So you look at them.
Those are quality.
Those are quality, but they haven't beaten the other teams that are in the top 5. So when you look at this team too, I've been looking at some of the box scores and everything like that, and really they're kind of in the same situation as us. They're not that deep in the. When I go back and I look, a majority of the minutes you get, their starters get majority of the minutes, 30 plus minutes. You mentioned Armando Bacot. Brady Manick is a transfer, 6'9", 230-pound forward, transfer from Oklahoma who can step out and shoot the 3. And then they have sophomores Caleb Love and R.J. Davis as their guards who get a majority of the minutes. And then their 6'8", defensive-minded Leaky Black is normally their starter, but he actually left Saturday with a knee injury. So sophomore Puff Johnson, who is a 6'8", 205-pound guard, came off the bench, played 29 minutes, scored 16 points, and played pretty well. But other than that, you look at Dontrez Styles got 6 points, Kerwin Walton got 3 points, DeMarco Dunn, another freshman guard, got 2 minutes. I'm sorry, those were minutes. So other than the starting 5 and Puff Johnson, who had 29 minutes, they only had 11 bench minutes. So when you're looking at this team, they're not that deep. And I don't know how many of those guys. Armando Bacot is going to be a problem.
Yes.
100% going to be a problem.
Yes.
Manick, I mean, really, it just depends on how their other guys shoot. But I don't know how well this team is going to be able to maneuver through the zone. Obviously, Roy Williams gone with the new coach. These guys are kind of young. You got 2 seniors and basically 3 sophomores. You're obviously going to see some more minutes off the bench. I don't know the other forwards that they have, but Leaky Black being hurt, I'm imagining if he left the game with a knee injury that he's not going to be able to play 2 days later. So there could be some situations where we might be able to get a little bit of a height advantage and some mismatches and stuff like that. So yeah, I definitely think that we have a chance to win this game, but Armando Bacot is going to be a problem. They're not going to be able to move the ball like Duke did through this 2-3 zone whatsoever. Absolutely not. But they got some guys that can score, and they got a big guy down low that is an animal.
Yeah. So, with that said, Syracuse has got to have it. They know they got to have it. I still think it's a winnable game. And, you know, Armando Bacot had his best game of his career against NC State yesterday. He's got to play worse than that against us 2 days later, right? Yes, right? I mean, there's got to be. I mean, come on, he can't have another best game of his career, can he?
You lost a starter, and you got a guy coming out, so you're going to be starting 3 sophomores who really haven't played too much into this zone, and then you got 2 guys as far as forwards go that are good players, but they don't play like a Banchero and Williams do. They're not the same type of players. And, I mean, Bacot has had good games against us, but Brady Manick coming in as a transfer, this is the first time he's going to see the zone. So
I don't know how much that means.
Hubert Davis
this year.
I mean, yes, I can see that too, but it still gives people fits. And even with that, Hubert Davis, even though he's been a coach and he's been there, I mean, it's his first time as a head coach playing against Syracuse, right?
Right.
So there's some different little things there, you know, and you got a team that, from what I look at, like they mainly pay 5 guys. I mean, Puff Johnson wasn't playing 29, 30 minutes. He was playing in the teens, and then everyone else was still single digits, under 5 minutes for the most part. So they went about 6 deep, and then Leaky Black got hurt. And they're in a situation where I think they're in like the last 4 buys or something like that. So they're in a situation where they're in like the last 8 teams that are like in the tournament, and with a couple losses, they can see themselves bounce right out of that. So they're going to be playing for something. We're obviously not going to quit. We're going to show up. We're going to play.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Okay. So with that said, Joe, we did not get back here for the Duke game preview, rather. So we did not do a prediction, which if we were smart, which we're not, but if we were, we'd just put that together between the two of us and thrown it out there just so there's a record of it and we could talk about it. But, you know, it's a mediocre show with mediocre minds. What can I say? So you actually took the Notre Dame game, so we didn't get to talk about that either. So I got to get these last 2 to even tie. And then there's going to be all kinds of stupid math that goes along with that, and I do not want to do. So I just hope you win because I don't want to figure out the tiebreaker. It's really going to suck. So, all right. With that said, Joe, I have got my score written down. I've already figured it out. I've already mastered this, and I just hope, I pray that I'm right. But what do you got?
So I just don't know where this team's going to be as far as defensive wise. When you look at Ken Pom, they have North Carolina is in like, you know, the 80s as far as defense adjusted, and the 20s in offense. So it definitely looks like another game where I don't know, man. I'm going to go, you know what?
What? Tell me. I'm on the edge of my seat right now. What?
I'm gonna go Syracuse. I'm gonna pick Syracuse.
Okay. Fantastic.
I'm gonna have my orange.
What's the score?
Score
That's why we're here.
Is going to be 73-71.
Wow, dude, this is crazy. You and I were like horrible at guessing these together. I'm so close to you. So close to you.
And you know that I don't know any of your. I mean,
I know, and which is why it's funny because you've done it before. You almost nailed my exact score. So this is going to be interesting. But I see this being a close game. And I think it's going to be a freaking, at least, okay, that's how I see it, right? Well, what's going to really happen, I don't know.
They come out and shoot like Duke, then we're going to lose.
They're not. I don't believe
14.
that's going to happen, though. I don't believe that's going to happen. I've seen UNC be more. I've seen a lot of UNC games. I've seen them be more sloppy this year than Duke. Okay, it's just plain and simple.
Lot more.
Yes, and if it starts early, they've had a hard time recovering. I mean, the Pitt game was atrocious for UNC, and there was a couple other ones too, but that being the most recent one, right? So
if you look at North Carolina, other than like the obvious, like or not obvious, the lower level non-conference mid-major teams that might win their tournament and get in the tournament, the only tournament team they beat was Michigan, way back.
They crushed them though, 21 points.
Yeah, they crushed them, but you're talking about December 1st. I mean, literally, that's the only tournament team that they've beaten. So, I'm not really afraid of them as much as
I'm not
as much as we're down in a normal year. Like I think North Carolina is too, and it's a transition with the coach and everything. So, I mean, this is as much as we're down. This is one of the better years to have a chance to knock them off at Chapel Hill.
Yeah, and we've been giving them a fit past couple of years. Let's put it that way, right? So with that said, sorry about that. That's my computer. With that said, I think Cuse is going to pull this thing out. You said 73-71. I said 74-72. I think it's going to be it's going to come down to something at the end, whether it's hitting some foul shots or it is just a missed shot by UNC. It could be like that. Okay? And that's how I got it, 74-72. So, we played Miami pretty good first time around. Look, I think we're in worse shape than Miami. If you look at where they were and where they are now, where we were and where we are now. But we got to have the next two. That's at home, too, by the way. It's the last home game.
Yep, last home game. And like you said, I mean, a lot can happen in a week. We get 5 days. You know, and I mean, Miami's a good team for sure.
Yeah, so it's going to be a tough run. Let's just work on this one. I say Syracuse wins it. Joe says Syracuse wins it. And we will see. It would be great to get a quad one win on the road, something to hang your hat on for this regular season. You get a game above, or 2 games above 500. Now you're looking at, you don't have to sweat that out anymore, right? Yes. So you got to get one of these last two, so you do not have to. So we don't have to talk about that. If it happens against UNC, that is off the table. It is over. That conversation is done, and it would be great for fans and the team alike. So, anyways, that is all we have for you, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate all of you for joining us. Tony, the only one in the green room today, being awfully quiet in there. Which is fine, because I had to modify the last recording to make sure we could hear him. You're welcome. Everybody, you're welcome. I took care of it. So, anyways, all right, go Orange. For Joe, I'm Sean. We're out.
Peace.